Hey guys, welcome to the KickBack FC. Thank you for joining us once again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Welcome back to the KickBack FC, your go-to spot for all things soccer. Here we've got it all. We're breaking down the biggest moments, hottest takes, and everything that you need to stay plugged into the world's game. We'll even tap into some other sports from time to time because if it's big in sports, we've got our thoughts on it. Whether this is your first time with us or you've been rocking with us from the jump, again, just want to say thank you to all of our friends and supporters. Again, my name is Cornelius, and I'm joined by my boys and fellow co-hosts. Salam, rocking the good old Redhawks today. I see the hoodie. How you feeling?
Love and honor, man. I feel good. Gabriel, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. A little tired, kind of, but I'm all right. Good. How you feel?
Doing all right, man. Just wanted to, start off the episode by shouting out the good old Miami Redhawks, my alma mater, where I met Salam when we were in school together. Only undefeated team in NCAA collegiate men's basketball right now, 25-0. Um, it's been very cool to watch Miami just kind of take the world by storm this year. Everybody's saying that the schedule is weak, this, that, and the third, but hey, you got to play who's on the schedule. These schedules are made years in advance. And I just wanted to shout out Travis Steele. He's the coach of the Miami Redhawks men's basketball team. He got there about 3 years ago. And I was just watching the press conference and he was talking about how, he's been able to keep everyone level headed, but at the end of the day, he's like, you got to enjoy these things while they're happening. He's like, you could tell that this team is taking everything in stride and they're not getting, too ahead of themselves, but they're enjoying every moment. Our girls basketball team over there is doing very well too. They've qualified for the MAC championship. Both of those men's and women's team will be, playing the MAC championship here in Cleveland at the end of the month or the beginning of like mid-March, actually, beginning of March. So it'll be cool. Hopefully I'll be able to see them play in real life. But just had to shout out the alma mater one time at the top of the show just because doing some crazy things in college basketball, man. Hopefully we get to see them in the big dance. I know the committee doesn't like all the glitz and the glamour. They're looking at, metrics and all that. But if we win the MAC tournament, we get the automatic bid to, the big dance, the March Madness tournament. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, man, Miami looks good, and this has been very, very fun, very, very fun season. So continue. Hopefully, they can continue to keep this undefeated season. I think only four teams have had an undefeated college season, four or five teams in the past. So hopefully, we can break some records and start to create our own identity over there in Miami. But yeah, just wanted to keep it pretty easy, pretty light today. I don't have too much news from around the world. Um, there were midweek games for the Premier League, and then we also had FA Cup matches. I know that United's out of the FA Cup, but let's start with United. Actually, they were looking for that fifth game in a row where they would get all 3 points.
Mm.
Unfortunately, they were unable this past week. A major draw. Shout out to the United Strand. He was live streaming this game because, like I said last week, he had already booked that haircut appointment. But he should have bet on the women's team because apparently they've won six in a row. But Manchester United 1-1 draw against West Ham at West Ham. Gabriel said last week this was going to be a trap game, and he was correct. Salam, your overall thoughts on the game, and now that the Carrick undefeated run is over, or well, not undefeated, but winning streak is over. What do you think United does to bounce back?
Nah, I mean credit to West Ham. I thought, you know, the first game that we played against them, obviously they beat us, and then this game, I don't think that we played particularly well, but you got to give credit to them. I think that I believe they were actually one of my recaps a few weeks ago, just pretty much saying how this team has shown resilience under Nuno, and I think that they've shown some life, and I think that they're definitely going to make the relegation race interesting because I could see them escaping, that top spot of the relegation zone. But for us, man, I would say in all the games that Michael Carrick has been in charge, this has probably been the game where we played not the best. I'd probably say this is the worst game that we played. But I said this during the Fulham game when Kelvin hit that goal that he did. Um, I thought this result was humbling. I thought it was humbling. I thought that for us to go, away from home against a relegation side, a side that you would think we would be able to get 3 points from, for us to get, punched in the mouth the way that we did, I think is a good lesson for these guys. But and just like you can't get carried away with the positivity. Obviously, things have been going great for us. Especially when you look at how the start of this season, how the ending of last season went. But we showed that we can still kind of lose to anybody, and that's something that we're gonna have to shake off if we're gonna continue taking that next step. But all in all, we didn't lose. I mean, we got a much needed point, in a week where, and I think what Chelsea dropped points, everybody around us for the most part dropped points. So, we're still in fourth place, but these are the type of games ultimately that are going to show me that, like, okay, this United team is, making progress. Because, like I said, against the bigger teams, we're going to be up for those games, but against these West Hams, these teams that are sitting at the bottom of the table, you got to get 3 points. And unfortunately, we didn't. But you know, we're in the driver's seat in this fourth spot, and we have our rest of season predictions this Wednesday, and I like our chances, especially considering Premier League is the only competition we need to focus on. So we gotta learn from this and move on.
I got a question for you for our opening, discussion. If Gabriel's got anything specifically about Sesko, because I feel like we talked about this guy a lot in the beginning of the season, his expectations, and then he had a pretty rough start, as a lot of people do when they come to the Premier League, just adjusting to the game. But since the turn of the year, he's had 5 goals, and a lot of his goals honestly coming when you need them. The goal against West Ham in the 96th minute saved you guys from losing, dropping all 3 points. In the 3-2 win against Fulham, he got that 94-minute winner. In the 2-2 draw against Burnley, he scored both of the goals there. So, since the year has started, he actually has started to uptick a little bit. He's not starting as much, but he's coming in and being a super sub. So, as far as Sesko, how do you think that his progression has been over the year? And do you like him as this super sub kind of role, or do you think he should be starting right now?
No, that's a good question. I mean, obviously his start of the season wasn't great, but I don't think a lot of players in our team, their start of the season wasn't great, and I think that that's down to the manager that we had. I think for me, like, my judgment on him is essentially how things are from post Amarim, and for the most part, things have been going well. Um, as far as his role right now, coming off the bench, honestly, I kind of like it. I don't like the fact that he cost as much as he did and he's having to come off the bench. But I said this in preseason. I think that we play better without a striker. And to be honest with you, like, when he comes off the bench, I mean, this guy's 6'5". He gives us a different dimension in attack. So I mean, I think it allows us to kind of play in a different way, especially in moments where we're trying to chase goals. So nah, yeah, I'm really not worried about him, man. I think this was a player who was highly touted. I mean, a lot of teams around Europe wanted this guy. I definitely don't think that he's bad by any means because of Ruben Amorim. I mean, I just think that he wasn't put in the best position, and Carrick is showing that he can make good use out of him. And right now, that's him coming off the bench, and I like it because we can spam in crosses to a guy who's 6'5". We've never really been able to do that. Even when Rasmus was here, we never really crossed the ball in. But you're seeing under Carrick, there's a concerted effort of, like, guys, we got to whip in crosses, at least give him a chance to go up against and, use his strengths to,
Plus of visibility.
and it helps us as well too. Like, you obviously want to get the best out of your teammates, right? Like, if I'm playing with a striker, and Gabriel, if you're the striker, like, then yeah, we're probably going to give you chances in the air because you're 6'5", and 9 times out of 10, you're probably taller, if not the same height as the center back. So no, yeah, I like his role right now coming off the bench. Obviously, by the end of the season, um, I mean, I would like to see him starting, but in order for him to start, he needs to keep scoring. And honestly, it's a good problem for us to have, you know, options up front. So I'm cool with it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I just wanted to see your take because he does have 6 goals and 1 assist in the Premier League on the season. Again, 5 of those goals coming in 2026. So he does have a good role right now, and I think Carrick has, like you said from the beginning, he has that midfielder's mindset. He kind of knows how to get his strikers in the best positions to score, just based on who he was when he was a player. So for him, I think he's doing the best that he can with the players that y'all have, and you're starting to see an uptick in I think everybody's play. So, we'll see what Šeško has for, the rest of the season. But moving along to Chelsea, I guess the theme, at least within our teams this week, was draw, 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 because that's all we were able to do this week. Chelsea, unfortunately, got a draw against Leeds United, 2-2 at home. Man, this was tough. This was one of those matches where obviously there's always controversy. Was there a handball leading up to their second goal? Was there not a handball? Was there a foul here? Was there a foul there? Was this, a penalty? Man, at the end of the day, it's frustrating being a Chelsea fan because I just saw a stat that showed that Chelsea has dropped 17 points from winning positions this season alone in the Premier League, and 15 of those points have come at home. I mean, this was a year where Leeds almost did the double on us. This is also a year where I've been talking about how kind of lackadaisical we are in the back, how we just tend to turn off in matches. And this is just another prime example of us just going up 2-0, thinking that we can coast. And what do we always say? 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football. We give them a little hope with the penalty, and then about 10 minutes later, we're still not getting our bearings together, and we just let a moment of calamity allow them to score. And, Cole Palmer, he missed you can call it a sitter at the very, very end, and it was bad.
It was a sitter.
No, it was bad. It was very bad. But at the end of the day, we had chances to go and win that game. And it's frustrating as a Chelsea fan to see us turn off for 30, 40 minutes in the second half, and then in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game, want to go and finally get that winner. And it's worked in the past under Liam Senior. The win against Napoli, we came back and we were able to win that one. But it's not going to happen every week, especially not in the Premier League. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a very dangerous Leeds team that in the last 4 or 5 weeks has looked decent. They were in a relegation battle and they clawed their way out of it. And, now I believe 7 points clear. So to know who Leeds is, to know that we also lost on the reverse fixture, you would think that this is one of the games where Senior will kind of say, hey, I wasn't here during the last match, but this is one that we need to go get back. We're in a top 4 race right now, fighting with United and Liverpool as well, who's on our heels. We need to get 3 points in the league as much as possible, especially when we're at home. I've been saying it all year. It ain't sweet when you come to the bridge, but my team's been letting us down recently at the bridge. Like I said, 17 dropped points from winning positions, 15 of those at home. And I can count on, and I know a lot of these matches that we dropped at home. I mean, this Leeds match is just the most recent example, but that Fulham match, where Harry Wilson scored in the end of the game, that Villa match at the beginning of the season where we were up and then we let Ollie Watkins come back and score against us. I think that was a 2-1 match. These are all games that when you look at the end of the season, whether we're in a European spot or if we're fighting for Conference League or Europa League, these are going to matter. United looks good. I know they dropped points this week, but United looks great. Carrick has them playing best. Like, this is the best I've seen them in probably the last 5 years. So, we have to have that mindset of we have to have just like a little bit of more of a stable mindset. Like I said, I like what Senior's been doing. He's been mixing the squads a little bit, but at the end of the day, we need to secure our points at home. These are important 2 points that we just dropped, and unfortunately, we're going to have to go and continue to be in these battles because Reece James, I don't know what the issue is there, but like I say, if Reece James is on the pitch, we're a completely different team. Just what he's able to do as a captain and how he kind of just reinforces that back line. It's unfortunate what happened this week, but kudos to Leeds. Without Dominic Calvert-Lewin, DCL, they were able to get a point against a very strong Chelsea team right now. He was my recap because last week, like I said, he's been doing his thing over there at Leeds, but he's another one. You can't really rely on him for a full 38 game season. So when I saw that he wasn't in the lineup, it was refreshing, but kudos to Leeds. They were able to make important subs in the second half, and that got them the 2 goals they needed. It was a very back and forth match. We easily could have lost, but we easily could have won. And for Cole Palmer, I don't know if you listen to little podcasts like us, but keep your head up, bro. We know that you're not 100% fit, and we know that you're coming back. And yes, this was a bad miss. He said it himself. He doesn't know how he's going to sleep at night. He's been thinking about the miss. But at the end of the day, this is football. Things happen. Just come back next week, and we want to see you, make up for it. Get a goal, get an assist. That's how we'll know that, you're one of those players that we can rely on, and you're one of those players that, you have a, goldfish memory. You got to quickly forget what happened last week, and you got to go again the following week. Again, we're in multiple competitions. This shouldn't be one of those things that, keeps you in a funk. Kind of just get over it. We didn't lose the match. Obviously, we didn't win the match, but it could have turned out worse. So for me, I just want, to see a little bit more consistency in the back line. I want to see Reece James play as often as he can. I know we're being a little restrictive with him, but, as a Chelsea fan, it's just tough. When you look at these matches, these are must wins, bro. Like I said this last week or a few weeks ago, anyone that's on the bottom half of the table, when you're playing them at home, it has to be 3 points. It just got to be 3 points, man. That's how you show that you're one of the top clubs in the league. That's how you show you're one of the top clubs in the world. And that's how you continue to show that, we are going through, a new rebuild with a new manager. But at the end of the day, the standards still have to be the same. So for me, there are a lot of good and bad things that you could point to in the match. But at the end of the day, you just got to move. Football moves quick. There's another match in the following week. Let's hope we can get 3 points the next time around. So, Chelsea, we're in a weird position because we know where we are with a new manager and everything seems good, but I know eventually this honeymoon phase is going to come to an end, and I want to see how we bounce back after that. So,
I'm interested to see who your player of the season is for Chelsea.
I got a few. It's been tough, but we'll talk about it on Wednesday.
Cole Palmer, though, huh?
I mean,
everyone wants to cut him slack, man.
No, I'm not cutting him slack. It was bad, but at the end of the day, which on our teams, which one of our superstars hasn't missed a center? I've seen Bruno miss. I've seen Odegaard and Saka miss.
Misses penalties.
Yeah, I've seen. It happens to everyone. Is how do you bounce back?
No penalty merchants. PK merchants. It's okay though.
Yeah, I think one person that you got to give credit to from the start of the season and the season he had last year was Sanchez. I feel like Sanchez has been a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. He still has his moments, but I think that's one person that I remember going into the season. I was thinking, how do you guys run it back with this guy? But he's shown that he's your guys' best keeper right now.
He's still made a fool in the FA, or not the FA, but the
Carabao
Cup.
The Carabao Cup. And Selam, I hear you, but again, and he has made improvements from last year. Let me start off by saying that he is definitely a little bit more consistent when it comes to his saving ability, but he still makes those bonehead mistakes, man. Or Carabao Cup against Arsenal, 2 out of the 3 goals they scored when we were at home were balls that went completely through his hands, just weak wrists. That's all.
You're gonna remember his mistakes because his mistakes typically lead to goals. But all things considering, because the back line has been up and down. I feel like this has been 3 years now I feel like ever since Thiago Silva left, we don't know who's Chelsea's definitely best center back pairing. But
It's
on
it's
the
it's yeah. I mean, it's been our issues, like you said, since Thiago left. We've had multiple injuries across the back line. You know, between just our center backs, we started to see Fofana and Chalaba, which has been decent. You know, Fofana didn't have the greatest game this against Leeds, but you know, it's looked good. You know, Josh Champong, Liam Rossinier likes him a lot. You know, he said that he's been playing him at right back a lot this season because he wants his young defenders to kind of know how to play across the whole black line. But at the end of the day, he's young. He's 18. He's 19 years old. He's going to make mistakes. But Racinier says eventually he sees him as a starting center back for us. It just was reported this week that Cucurella is going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks with a
Yeah.
hamstring injury. So that's
Dang.
another one. Our left back now. We're going to have to put Gusto to the left and kind of invert him like we were used to. And Reese hasn't played the last 3 games. So it's always, you know, our back line has always been our Achilles heel, and it hasn't gotten any better this year. Colwell, you know, he was supposed to make that next step this year, ACL right at the beginning of the year. So goodbye for the season. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have to take the good and the bad. We know that there's going to be mistakes back there, but you know, like this Leeds game, man, we just turned off. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not much else to say than if you watch the match, we turned off. We went up 2 goals, came into the second half with our chests puffed out, thinking we could just play this, you know, lackadaisical, you know, football. And Leeds punished us with 2 just, you know, mistakes, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, our back line does have to get a little bit more stable, but it's something that we as Chelsea fans have seen for the last, like you said, since Thiago Silva left. So it's frustrating, but we've been asking for a center back. Maresca asked for a center back. January passed, you know, and so we got to go with who we got at this point.
speaking of center back, though, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Sar's performance? The new kid that came from Strasbourg.
It's funny. I honestly, like I said, I forgot that Chelsea played on Friday, so I wasn't actually able to watch the whole match. I saw like the last 15 minutes, but you know, actually talking to Mike because we were talking offline, he really was impressed with Sar. He said this is a level of calmness I haven't seen in the back in a while, and so I will actually run that game back and watch it in full just so I can kind of look at, you know, Sar and see his specific style because I haven't been able to see him much playing at Strasbourg this season. But you know, based off what Mike said, it's definitely good to hear. You know, it's inspiring because we do need a center back. Again, he's very young, so I know that he's another guy that's going to make mistakes. Again, we played Hull City, so this isn't one of the, you know, stronger teams in England, let alone Europe. But it's good to see that we have a center back that potentially could be that next guy up. Yeah, but other than that, you know, Chelsea, we won like I said, we won against Hull City, which was good. It was a good bounce back game for a lot of these guys. But right now, my focus is the Prem. You know, it's the Prem. I want to continue to deliver good performances, and right now we are in a top 4 battle. Like I said, top 4 has to be the bare minimum for us this year.
Are you getting top 4?
Yeah, I mean, between Villa, Liverpool, United, and Chelsea right now, I see Chelsea and United probably finishing in the top 4. That's just how I
Oh,
feel.
yeah, because Aston Villa could easily move out of that top 4.
Yeah, like because at the end of the day, it's going to be between I think those 4 teams. I think City and Arsenal are going to be battling for the league, and then the 3 and the 4 spot will be occupied by, I think, Chelsea and United.
Yeah, I think the league is finally starting to like shake out. Yeah, and you can kind of start seeing the tiers of where, like, this, you can start categorizing, you know, the league. Like, okay, this is where this is at. These 4 teams, 5 teams are in a top 4 race. These teams are just mid tier, and these are the teams fighting relegation. It's becoming a lot more clear right now, which is just kind of cool to see. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it usually starts to shake out like this, you know, by the end of January, end of February, because that's when you always see the most condensed amount of games being played. You know, like we said in January, some of us were playing 3 Premier League matches in the span of 10, 11 days. So there's a lot of shifting around in January, but by February, early March, you start to see, okay, who's fighting for top four, who's fighting for the league, who's fighting relegation. And that becomes more clear. But, Arsenal clearly is, a team that's been fighting for the league these last 4 years, currently in first place, only hold a 4-point gap over Manchester City. This past week, it was big for a lot of teams in the top half of the table. A lot of movers, and for City and Arsenal, they aren't really going to be moving too much, but the gap is seeming to get smaller and smaller as we get into the deeper stages of this season. 1-1 draw against Brentford. It's not looking good for Arsenal. You guys have been in this same situation before in the past. What do you think Arteta has to do now to kind of, quell all the murmurs that are starting to, bubble up now in the Premier League because City is doing what City has done and start to close the gap around this time of the season?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm still really not too worried about this 4-point gap, if I'm being completely honest. I think we just need to finish our chances. That's really what it comes down to. We got a set piece scored against us, which is very rare, but I mean, shoot, it happens. We can talk about lineups and this and that, but at the end of the day, it's not easy to go into Brentford. This is a team that's, you can say, fighting for top four as well. They're 5 points off of United right now, so it's like, they're in form, they're playing well. It's technically a North London derby. Arsenal and Brentford are not too far from each other. So yeah, man. It is what it is. I really don't. I'm really, like I said, I'm not really worried about the league right now. I'm not trying to say like I'm not worried about the league in terms of winning it, but I'm saying I'm not really worried about our positioning. I think our team knows what we have to do. Yes, we wanted to get those 3 points, but we didn't completely drop points. I can live with this draw. I can live with this. My where I'm at thinking is now, okay, we play Wolves this Wednesday. I truly think, when we get to, we're on 57 points. When we get to 60 points, we've hit a different stage in the table against Manchester City. And that's where I want to get to. I just want to get to 60 points. I think the more you can, I truly think it's like an intimidation factor at this point. Like the more you can kind of separate yourself on a tier basis of tens, you have a better chance of going. So I really just want to get to 60 points and we can go on a little run. I think with this win against Wigan today, we get a dub against Wolves. We get a dub against Spurs at home. We can go on a little run. I think City and us, we're in a title race. Like I don't know what people expected. Like Arsenal's just gonna run away with it. People were talking about, oh, the league is Arsenal's in week 18. Like absolutely not, bro. We're in the title race. I understand that, but my main thing is we're not completely dropping these points. Yes, it's a tough match. We got a point. I have to live with that. We just have to take care of the matches like on Wednesday when we play Wolves. There's no reason we shouldn't be getting 3 points. That's a match where if we drop points there, now I'm concerned. Now I'm like, all right, well, we're dropping points against Wolves. Spurs at home is now difficult. New manager effect, who knows? So I still like the position that we're in. We're still a full match ahead of them, and I fully believe that we'll be getting to 60 points very, very soon. So
I wanted to ask you real quick. So there's been a lot of chat about especially this past week, after the game against Brentford about Eze. And just a lot of people are insinuating. I'm not one of these people because I think he's one of the best players of the Premier League. I think people tend to forget that. But I guess what do you make about all this chatter about Eze? Are you concerned? Is it something to be concerned about?
I mean, I'm not really concerned. I just feel like my biggest concern with this situation is like, I know that you're gonna be good. He just hasn't found his groove, and he hasn't been given the opportunity really to find his groove. Now, while I do say that the opportunities that he has been given, he hasn't performed well. Like, this is not the first time that Eze's started a match and he's gotten taken off at halftime because it was like, bro, you really weren't doing that much. Like, even the match against Brentford, like, bro, it was lethargic. It was slow. You were, it was like you're dropping too deep to get to ball. Like, we don't necessarily need you to do that all the time. We have Declan Rice and Zubimendi to do that. We want you. The reason he was so good against Tottenham was because he stayed higher up the pitch and just found the ball in the little pockets and then combined. That's what made him so good. And then also he can shoot. So if he was in and around the box, it's I can one touch, turn, and shoot. So I just think he needs to take advantage of the opportunities he gets to start in matches like he did today. Great match from him today against Wigan in the FA Cup. Him and Saka look great in the midfield together. But against matches in the Prem, like, bro, these are the matches that truly matter. Like, this would have been a great 3 points to have for sure, but these are the matches where I need you to pick up and be the guy. We have injuries, and this is why we bought you to be one of those players and an impact player for us. So, yeah, man, I think he needs to do better when he is getting the starts. Because honestly, when he has been starting as of recent, it hasn't really been that great. But like I said, I'm really not too worried about Eze, man. I'm truly not. Because at the end of the day, Eze is going to get us through these cups. I know that for sure. Eze is going to get us through these cups. He's been great for us in the cups. And if that's what his role has to be right now, is guiding us through these, these league matches, these Carabao Cups and FA Cups, so be it, bro. I want everything. I've been saying I want a small trophy, a big trophy, but I just want to be competitive in the cup matches. There's no reason that we should be out in the 4th round of the FA Cup or the 5th round, 3rd round. That's ridiculous, man. So if that's what it is for him right now, cool. But if we're gonna be starting in the Prem, bro, I need more from you. Because you know the situation that the club is in, and we're trying to win a trophy. So yeah, I can go to the line about guys. Martinelli could have scored at the end. Victor Gyökeres, Jesus. I can talk about all these guys, but at the end of the day, we didn't lose. Got out there with a point. It's going to be tough. We're in a race, and I think we'll be okay. I still fully think that we'll be okay. But Saka and Eze running in the midfield. Saka as a 10. Oh my gosh.
New Balance boys. I wanted to ask you guys though, because I've kind of read this from like just a lot of different media outlets. A lot of people expressing this sentiment that, and I don't think this, but a lot of people have been saying that like the FA Cup is like dead, in the sense of just not a lot of people are taking this seriously. You're looking at like teams that are relegation. I know this is a specific case for them, but even the teams that are in relegation are kind of just playing their bench players, because it's like, I'd rather just focus on staying up in the league. And not just teams in relegation, but you're starting to see teams prioritize the league as opposed to the cup competition. So I think obviously it depends on who you are. I think if you're in it, obviously it matters. Manchester United is not in it. I still think it's a important competition. It's the oldest competition in English football. But do you guys think the FA Cup is dead, or do you think it's just per team scenario?
No, I don't think it's dead. Like what I think is dead is like a lot of these new trophies. If I'm being honest,
Carabao.
yeah, like the Carabao just popped up out of nowhere. It was like, okay, like how does I don't know, how does something that just popped up? How long has the Carabao been here? 10 years?
Well,
15 years?
yeah, I mean, it used to be called
something else.
it used to be called the Carling Cup, but yeah, like the Carabao, you're right, is like a new thing, but there was a third competition.
I don't know. It's not dead to me. I'm an FA Cup. I'm an FA Cup guy because it's all of English football, you know, and you really see a team make a run. You know, I don't know. I like the FA Cup. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the FA Cup is still one of the biggest tournaments in the world. And at the end of the day, like when you look at the Premier League teams, sure, maybe it doesn't mean as much for them, but think about Crystal Palace, bro. Like think about what they were able to do last year, how much it meant for them. Think about, some of these teams that make runs. Last year, who did y'all lose to? Coventry. Um,
No, we beat them.
They beat Coventry, but almost lost.
You guys beat Coventry, but think about what that did to them. This was a team in the Championship who now is looking to come to the Premier League. I feel like for these Championship and lower level sides, if they can go and put in a good performance against a Newcastle or a United or an Arsenal or a Chelsea, this might give them the little boost they need. They're like, look, if we can play with the top teams in the league, if the top teams in England, there's no reason why we should, not think that we could potentially do good in our league, whether that's a Championship, League One, League Two. And I think that, when you look at some of these teams that go on runs, this ends up helping them get bigger transfers, bigger signings, and this helps their team, move up through the ranks. I mean, I'm looking at Wrexham right now. They just beat Ipswich 1-0. This is about to be a team in the round of 16. We talking about, is Wrexham going to be in the Premier League? They could be in the FA Cup, semifinal, quarterfinal. So for me, I think that the FA Cup still is a big deal. I know, like, it's been a major joke that Pep hasn't cared about the FA Cup for years, but City keeps doing what they keep doing. City keeps getting to, semifinals of these competitions, even though for the majority of these matches, Pep plays the kids. So I think it's just something like, I think Gabriel's right. They keep adding all these new competitions, but somehow these older competitions are losing their luster. I don't know. I still think the FA Cup holds its weight. And when you look at what it does for, the rest of world football, if you win the FA Cup, you have that higher coefficient when it comes to getting into some of these other tournaments. So it still holds weight, I still think, domestically and internationally.
No, I agree. I think I just heard that from a lot of different creators. And I think, well, and to be fair, most of the creators were coming from the standpoint of their teams were one of the bigger teams. So obviously, maybe a Chelsea or an Arsenal have the luxury of playing some bench players, against some of these guys. And I mean, shit, if I'm Burnley, bro, honestly, like, forget the FA Cup. I have to stay in the league. So, like, I totally get it from that point. And I wish, to kind of close off with this subject, I wish people would take that same energy and have that towards the Open Cup here in the States, because a lot of people here don't care about the Open Cup. And I mean, to your guys' point, to have that Cinderella run, I think that's like our version of like March Madness. So,
yeah,
that's
Mm-hmm.
just right around the corner. But yeah, just a thought. I heard some people talking about that.
I agree.
No, that's a good comparison to March Madness. I like that a lot. I know we don't usually talk about these teams, but we've been talking top four, top six, European spots these last few weeks. So I do want to touch on Villa, Liverpool, and City for a little bit. Villa, a very nasty 1-0 win this past week over Brighton. It was an own goal in the 86th minute. Salam, I know you said that, the title race for Villa is over, but, we kind of alluded to it in a little bit in the Chelsea segment, but do you think this team could stay in the top four?
Oh, I mean, can they stay in the top four? Certainly. I think that they're going to have to fight off United and Chelsea, because I think Those three teams, and I mean, you can't sleep on Liverpool. I think Liverpool are gonna make a case for it, but Aston Villa is gonna have to fight off one of us, either Liverpool, Chelsea, or United. And I think I don't know. The one thing about them, man, is I've seen them go 10 games unbeaten, but I've seen them also like when they look bad, they look bad. Um, and nothing against all the other teams. The reason why I like our chances the most is because we only have one game a week. We're only in one competition. Whereas all of you guys have all these different competitions to worry about. So I mean, who knows? Guys like Tammy coming in, scoring. So if some of these guys that they brought in as reinforcements you know, can continue getting goals for them, maybe it helps propel them and stay up where they are. But I don't personally think that they're gonna finish the season in the top four. I think that the team that they're competing against are a lot better than them. And yes, they're behind them on the table, but Aston Villa is also in multiple competitions and in good spots in all those competitions. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that they make it. But you know, it's remarkable that they were even in this spot to begin with.
Interesting. In the same breath, Gabriel, your recap last week was, and I'll just quote you here. This may be the year where Liverpool do not make Champions League. This team just does not have the same power as they once did. So I'll pose the question to you. Do you think that Liverpool has what it takes to be in the top four, top five? Because, based on how the English teams are doing in the Champions League right now, the top five places may get you back into the Champions League in the Prem. So do you think that Liverpool can make a little run to be a top five team?
I think if it's a top five, then yes. If it's a top five, then I think more than not, then they'll go to the Champions League. But if it's top four only, no chance. Like I not no chance, but the chances are a lot slimmer. I mean, they have the players, man. They have the players to do it, and they're finally somewhat gelling and getting better. But yeah, I don't see them being top 14. I think they'll just drop too many points. I just think anyone can catch Liverpool slipping. Doesn't matter who it is. So I don't. I mean, anyone can get caught slipping, but you're not going to catch City or Arsenal like that all the time. Liverpool's just one of those teams where they can be up 1-0 and then go down 2-1, 3-1, and then maybe claw their way back and make it interesting, but still lose. They just don't have that same pop anymore. So yeah, I don't think they'll make top four, but if they do, kudos. Seeing the Champions League, we'll be there. So.
No, fair enough. And then, last team, City, I'll pose this question to Selam. Erling Haaland had 9 touches in their win against Fulham, 2 shots and 1 goal. Semenyo also added with a goal. And, it was a lot of discourse over this Haaland, your Haaland take. But as far as City, do you think that they're able to close the gap between them and Arsenal, by let's call it by April?
I mean, can they close the gap? I think yeah. I think obviously the biggest thing is going to be if Arsenal is going to drop points. I think when I look at both situations, I think it's more likely that City drops points than Arsenal does going forward, especially against some of these lesser teams. I mean, the game against Brentford, I caught that game late. I was very surprised to see that they were even in that situation. But yeah, City brought in a lot of reinforcements, guys that are going to help them. Semenyo that's a big signing. So for you to get someone like that in the middle of the Premier League season, who was firing already for his current team at that time, I think is massive. So And I mean, they have the experience, man. They have the manager. I still think they have the best manager in the league. You know, they've been here, they've done this, but you know, there are going to be some guys that are going to need to step up. Holland's going to have to continue scoring. Foden is going to have to, you know, kind of have a moment here and there. Um, but yeah, can they do it? Yeah, they're going to need a lot of help from Arsenal, and I don't see Arsenal really dropping points like to some of these lesser teams.
I mean, the game against City will have a lot of implications, but also we played them in the Carabao Cup final 2 weeks prior to that, 3 weeks prior to that. So I think, you know, just that 3 weeks in general is going to weigh a lot on the season because the Carabao Cup is going to mess with a lot of emotions either way, whoever wins. And then play them in the league at City. So, you know, by that time, like, that match could have, I mean, it will have huge implications. And I don't know. I just like our chances this year. I like our chances.
I will say though, if you guys lose that matchup to them, and if you're 1 point behind, I think you guys are in trouble. I think like you guys definitely need to beat them. I mean, don't get me wrong. There could be a scenario, obviously, you could lose to them and still ended up winning the league. But you know, for you guys, when did you say that game was? In March?
March? No, when we played them in the league is like in April.
In April. I mean, that's close to decision time at that point. But yeah, I mean, even if you guys are where you are right now, and if you were to play them and still lose, I would still like your chances. But I don't think that you guys can afford any more slip ups. Any more slip ups against these teams, like I don't know, a Newcastle or Everton or a Chelsea, I don't know. Then I'd be a little bit concerned. But
no, I think we'll take care of business, and I mean, most of the places that we go. City's obviously going to be a tough one. Spurs will be tough. We play Chelsea and Spurs back-to-back weeks. But, you know, I still feel confident going into those games. And, man, hopefully we can get some of these players back because, man, hopefully we can get some back. But like I said, that's not an excuse. I know some of these players make our teams better. And we're definitely missing some players, bro. For sure.
Who do you think is like your guys' biggest miss right now?
I mean, Osaka's just not coming back, so he was, but Kai Havertz, man. My goodness. We need Kai Havertz back. And Calafiori. I'd say those two are the biggest misses. And Saka only started today because Calafiori was gonna start and then didn't. So I don't know if he tweaked something again, but you know, it's all good. It's all good. I just to answer your question, Kai Havertz is our. I want to score more goals. I think defensively we'll be fine, but if we continue to just keep scoring, it's very hard to come back from that. And Kai Havertz kind of unlocks our offense.
That's fair, because that's actually a good assessment. Because I mean, if you guys could score more goals, it'd be like okay. City's problem right now is that they leak goals, but they score.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like City can come down, and not saying we can't score those 2 goals either, but bro, I don't know. Like I feel a lot more comfortable when we start off a game hot and we score a goal 15 minutes in. Then I'm like, okay, bet 35 minutes in, we're probably gonna get another. And can we get 3 before half? Who knows? If we get 3 before half, you're cooked. You're not coming back from that. Like even if we're going 2-0 into halftime, yeah, the first 15 minutes might be tough, but if we get a goal 60th minute, oh, you're done. That's it. You're not coming back from that. Like, so yeah, I want more offensive power. And today we went low-key super offensive, which I liked. But I wish we were more brave in bigger matches, if I'm being honest, and a little bit less safe. Because if we're gonna win a title, we got to take risks. So, but yeah, man.
No, those are some good points, especially when we look at City and Arsenal, like Gabriel said, in that 3-week span. Those are going to be important matches, when we look towards the end of the season. But to close out, I did want to talk about a team that we don't really talk about here, but there's been a epidemic of managers getting sacked this season. In our league, the Premier League, but this is just across all of Europe. I feel like whatever happened in 2025, 2026, this year is the sacking. Um, Nottingham Forest has sacked their third manager this season. September 9th, they sacked Nuno Espirito Santos after only 3 matches. Then Big Ange, he got a chance to try to make things better. Ended his tenure with 1 draw and 4 losses. And then now Sondheich, who came in, and kind of actually had this team on somewhat of a steadier boat than the first 2 managers, just got sacked as well. Is looking like it says this club is averaging a new manager every 60 days. So I do want to ask, what's going on with Marinakis? What's going on with Nottingham Forest? Ever since this team has been promoted to the Premier League, they've gone through a slew of manager changes. Like I said, three different managers this year. And then they started off with Steve Cooper when they originally were promoted to the Premier League in that 2022-2023 season. So is this a team that, we often talk about American managers or American owners and how they don't really understand the pulse when they come into managing world soccer, especially the Premier League. But Marinakis, he was a guy that came in with all this money. He's been one of the owners that he has been more visible, especially these past few seasons. He's been on the touchline, arguing with managers, kind of being in the locker room a lot more from what we've seen and heard. What do we think is going on with this club? And, is this going to be functional for much longer in the Premier League?
I mean, I think he's the problem, honestly. I'm all for having this hands-on approach. If you want to be in the locker room and all that, like whatever, man. Because when they were winning and they were showing videos of him high-fiving, they were like, "Yo, this is what someone who's involved. This is what that looks like." I don't even think it's so much that. I just think sometimes when you're just trying to do too much, you had a good thing going. I think that the progression from Steve Cooper to Nuno was perfect. And I think what they had going on with Nuno was great. This was a team that was in, I think, a European spot at one point, right? Weren't they in a European spot?
Yeah, they're currently in Europa League. They play Fenerbahce this Thursday.
Yeah, like I mean, clearly something, and this is obviously Nottingham Forest have like rich history and all that, but like in the modern area, man, like this was one of the best situations that you guys had, and you know, obviously there was an issue between Marinakis and Nuno at the time, which resulted in Nuno leaving, but the grass is not greener on the other side, man. You brought in Ange Postecoglou, and that didn't work out. And it's crazy. You brought in a manager who damn near was like the opposite of what you guys were doing before. So a lot of the success that you had, whatever foundation that you built, you kind of just threw that out of the door because then you went and got this guy who plays this attacking style of football, the high line, the high risk football. And then you sack him, and then you bring Sondheich, one of the most defensive minded minds in the Premier League has ever seen. And like, I don't know, man. I think that this is an example of someone who's doing too much. Like, obviously, you can't question that he wants this to work, but I just feel like this is why you got to hire the guys that you do. And hey, man, you got to put your ego aside sometimes. I think that that's what the biggest reason why him and Nuno got into it. But Nuno was the best thing to happen to them. And after he left, that's when the dysfunction happened because none of the players that were finding success under Nuno, you're not seeing that. Gibbs White, if I'm him, I'm thinking like, holy shit, bro.
And he wanted that move too.
I just signed this extension. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I had the move that fell off because the owner essentially just was like, you're not leaving. And then like, come on, man. And then you signed this extension and it's like, I don't know. So if I'm him right now, especially in a World Cup year, I'm looking at my odds of getting to the World Cup, and it's like I can't even really. I don't have like the best platform to showcase what I can do. But no, I just think it comes down to ego, man. I think Marinakis is doing too much, bro. You had a good thing going, and you got rid of him.
So it has a lot to do with him. Mostly to do with him. Hey, egos get in the way of a lot. It's one thing I've learned in life. Egos get in the way of a lot of things, and it's just better to a lot of the times just put that ego to the side and work out in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good place to end it there. This is a Nottingham Forest team, like Selam said, was in a European spot last year, and now we see them in 17th battling relegation. So we'll see what the future has to hold for this team. But with the way West Ham is playing as of late, I could see them overtaking Nottingham Forest very soon.
Yeah, let's do Champions League real quick. Champions League is back Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Champions League is back. I don't know why I felt like we've been waiting for a minute. I think it's just because
it's the playoffs.
Yeah. Chelsea, fortunately, will not be involved in this round of games because we did get that top 8 spot, meaning we have the automatic bid to the following rounds. But we got some good matches, man. Do we want to go just day by day?
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'm sorry, but also, is City in? They make top 8? They did. Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So this is what the round of 32, right? So this is essentially what the second half teams.
Yeah, this is team 9 through 24.
9 through 24, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So starting off on Tuesday in the Champions League, Galatasaray versus Juventus. Shout out Western McKinney.
Where is it?
It's in Turkey.
It's in Turkey.
Galatasaray. Come on. You know how them refs. You know how them refs do.
I'm gonna go draw.
I'm gonna go Juve, man. Weston McKennie, man. Our new striker. Who would have thought? Shout out to you, bro. Benfica versus Real Madrid. This is in Portugal.
Sheesh. After the vibes of this last one, let's go, Jose.
Yeah.
Bring it back for the one time.
No, I ain't gonna do that. That's Madrid.
Yeah. Come on, Jose. I believe in you. I'm gonna go with Benfica. Dortmund versus Atalanta.
Where is it?
It's in Germany.
Dortmund's so uninspiring, but I'll go
Atalanta.
Both teams to score.
Yeah, for sure.
Monaco versus PSG. Unfortunately, my guy Pogba has not been playing, bro.
PSG.
It's in Monaco. I mean, it's in both in France, but
yeah, for PSG to have won the last Champions League and then not even make it to the top 8 has been a story. But PSG.
Yeah, I feel like their whole team, bro, has been like guys in and out. I mean, Dembele didn't start the season, and then Hakimi.
Did you hear about Dembele's? Not like I don't want to say rant, but he kind of spoke about the team. He was like, guys aren't playing for the badge.
I mean, I believe him.
He came out and it was just like guys are not really playing for PSG. Like beforehand, we used to play for the club, and now I feel like it's too much individual stuff. So it seems like some things are going on behind the scenes, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, man. When a team like that wins, I'm not surprised to hear that. When a team like that wins the Champions League, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a big club. But there's a lot of youngsters on that team, man. There's a lot of guys on that team that you can see like, okay, I'm feeling myself after I got this Champions League.
Yeah, man.
They've had quite the year last year, so hopefully they can get together. But yeah, you're right. After winning the Champions League last year, for you even not to be in the top 8 is something. But Wednesday, round of 32 in the Champions League. Starting off, we have Karabakh versus Newcastle. Newcastle's away from home.
Newcastle's been out in Champions League, so I'm gonna go Newcastle.
Yeah, man. Anthony Gordon has been killing it
Crazy.
in Champions League. Honestly, a slept-on story, bro. I think he's right behind Mbappe, if I'm not mistaken. Which Mbappe is also having a historic run, but we're just so numb to GA nowadays. Just
preaching to the choir.
Since you brought it up, Champions League top scorers right now: Mbappe with 13, Harry Kane with 8, Haaland with 7, and then tied for 4th, Gabriel Martinelli and Anthony Gordon with 6 each, as well as Victor Osimhen.
Gyökeres is, I think, around 4 or 5. I'm gonna put that out there.
All right. So I think we got Newcastle winning.
Yeah.
Bodo Glimt versus Inter Milan. Inter Milan is away from home.
Inter.
Okay.
Internacional.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched their game over the weekend, but it was a good one.
Yeah, man.
They beat Juventus 3-2.
Yeah, Bastoni, man, that's crazy. Did my guy dirty. Wow. We
got Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid.
Atletico. Lookman's looking great already.
Yeah, he looks great.
Simeone said, "I've never had a player like this ever." Stop it, man. I remember what you did to my boy Yannick Carrasco. Yeah, and I remember what you did.
Jeez.
Shout out to you, Yannick. I got Atletico Madrid. I got Atletico Madrid going to the semifinals of the Champions League, believe it or not. That's how good I think they are.
Lookman was, bro, he's a crazy spark plug for them right now.
Bro, I keep looking at Arsenal like so Semenyo's just balling on City. We just decided not to spend the 60 mil. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
He's balling. We just decided not to spend the 60 mil because we wanted to get him on a free. Lookman has just been sitting there begging to get it outside of Atalanta, and we're just not willing to pay the 50 mil to. Like, bro, it'd be killing me. Like, are we that cheap? We'd be making money. We're Kid FC.
Yeah, and Madrid has options, man, between Lookman, Solarov, and Julian Alvarez. Griezmann's still there. Like, they got some options, bro. They got some options. Olympiacos and Leverkusen.
Where? I still got Leverkusen.
In Greece.
Leverkusen benefit of the doubt here.
All right. There you have it. That's the Champions League. Before we get into shout outs and before we get into predictions, I did want to touch on the NWSL trades. So the first one really, and I think it was the biggest surprise, was Croix Bethune getting traded from the Washington Spirit and going to the Kansas City Current. I was telling Cornelius beforehand, like, I mean, I was surprised that Bethune was getting traded, but it's crazy that like she got traded to the Current. Wow.
The league is cooked.
Yeah, no, the league is definitely cooked, bro. This is one of the most exciting players in the league, and you just joined
Samuel and them.
Yeah. You just joined the best team in the league, a team that broke records.
Her and Temor are gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Sick, bro.
Yeah. And Ali Center too. Michelle. Bro, they're stacked. They're stacked. Definitely the odds on favorite probably to at least be in first place to win the Supporter Shield again. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Croix Bethune, man. This is one of the the up and coming stars of the league. I mean, she was rookie of the season a few years ago, and I mean, for her to go to a situation like this, it's a crazy move, man. There's been a lot of moves in the NWSL, and then with departing the Kansas City Current is Claire Hutton, U.S. Women's International. I mean, she's going to Bay FC. I think that this is a great move.
Love
for
it.
Her. This is a great step for her. 20 years old, and I felt like she's going into a situation where she's gonna have to take a little bit more responsibility
100%.
and make more ownership. And Bay FC is fixing that spine, man. I've always said you got to have a strong spine to compete, man. So to have Kundananji up top and to have Claire Hutton in the middle, I mean, that's huge, bro. But for Washington Spirit, man, it's just kind of like, damn, we're talking about all these moves, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I think that they probably will make something happen. I don't think that they just go into the season like this, but especially after re-signing Trinity Rodman to the highest contract in the in the league. But
hey, but you talk about responsibility. A lot of responsibility is going to fall on her too now.
Yeah,
I mean, I think she's going to do well with the responsibility, but it's like you asked for that contract now. It's time to earn the contract.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, her, yeah, Gift Monday, Kawasi. I think that's you're still going to see goals, but I don't know. I'd like to see like another midfielder get in there because they're going to need someone to fill the void that Bethune left. But it's interesting, man, because this is a team also like that we said you made the NWSL final 2 years in a row. You were close.
Mm-hmm.
You were close, and for you to make that statement signing in Trinity Rodman, she's not going anywhere. We're going to continue building. And then for you to trade one of your young stars, it's kind of like,
Backwards.
So we'll see what happens. But hey, this looks good for Gotham.
Another one before we get out. I don't know if y'all saw this one, but Emily Sams, defender for Orlando Pride, also just was traded to Angel City FC. I mean, this is another big one because Emily Sams, she's just starting out to get called up to this U.S. women's national team. Got her first international goal in one of those friendlies that we had, against Chile in the 5-0 win over them in January. She's another. I wouldn't even say emerging star because I feel like she's been solid, but 26 years old, she's now getting called up to the international team. Won with the Orlando Pride last season, and I feel like Angel City. One of the things that they needed to fix was their back line. They leaked a lot of goals last year, and then I believe they just missed the playoffs. They were that spot that just missed the playoffs. So for them to get a great defender in Emily Sams, I think it shows where they're trying to go, especially after they lost Alyssa Thompson. So I think that they're starting now to try to rebuild this team, starting with the back line, and we'll see hopefully what they can do with the attack. But this is a great pickup for Angel City as well.
Again, shout outs and predictions. How do we do on locks?
Chelsea, hold that right now.
Yeah, it was a tough week.
Not great.
Gabriel, you're on mute.
Sorry, tough week. We have 1-3 on locks. Not a good one, boys. It's okay. If you're still very, very much in the positive with us. No one has a losing record. So, yeah, we move. I'm sure we'll have a better week this upcoming week. I know potentially what my lock's gonna be, but you'll hear that. You'll see that soon. You'll see that soon.
Subscribe to that Patreon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Show some love, man. What's shout outs? What you guys want to recognize?
Honestly, I want to shout out Nani Madueke just real quick, man, because a lot of people continue to talk about him and the flop and this and the third. Oh, he doesn't have that many prem goals and blah blah blah. But time after time he continues to come through for us in big moments. And provide goals when we need them or assists. And just be the player that we need him to be. We need someone to take players on consistently. And he's very, very good 1v1. So I just want to give a shout out to Nani Madueke. It's been quietly just grinding, and I'm happy that he's finally finding his footing with the team.
That's a good one. I'm gonna go with Michael Carrick, Premier League Manager of the Month. As Cornelius alluded to earlier, obviously players are looking a lot better than they were before. Sesko is now finding his footing, but not just him, man. The team in general. I think that it hasn't taken him a while to at least set us up for success. I mean, we've been on our longest win streak since I think Ole took over, which I think we won 7 or 8 games on the bounce. So, like I said last week, man, I really like what I'm seeing from this guy. He's showing that he understands the situation, he understands the players. He's putting us in the best positions to succeed. And from all the options that we have domestically, I think he's the best one. If you're telling me it's going to be between him and Glasner, I'm taking Carrick. If it's him and the manager from Bournemouth, I'm taking him. But
Deserby?
no, stay away from Deserby. I don't know. I think
Just ask.
Deserby's like a loose cannon. I don't. He's gonna be like what Conte is, and like with the way that our board is, I just don't see, someone as vocal as him getting along with. We saw what they did to Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim said one thing, and he said, "You're out of here," and just in the blink of an eye. Out of all the domestic managers options that we have, he's the best one. Tuchel just signed an extension with England, so we're not going to get him. But only person I'm taking over Carrick is Enrique at this point. But even that seems like a long shot at this point.
Fair enough. My shout out was also my recap. So in case you missed it, I'm a double down. Shout out to Ryan, man. This is a 19-year-old Brazilian that signed for Bournemouth like right at the very end of the January transfer window. In his 3 matches that he's played, 2 goals, 1 assist, all very important for Bournemouth. Just he's kind of unorthodox. He's Brazilian, but he's tall. He doesn't, have the jogo bonito like a lot of these guys do, but he's very, very direct. If you're able to watch him play, I think he's a guy that'll do very good in the Premier League. And I think Bournemouth was a great pickup for him. Obviously they lost Semenyo, so they needed another guy that would be an attacking threat. And so far, so good. He looks the part. And so this is a guy that I'll be looking out for this year just to see how he progresses in the league. But he seems to march at the beat of his own drum, and he seems to be doing all right. So just wanted to give him a shout out. Definitely a player to look out for if you see Bournemouth on. Definitely turn the channel and give this guy a look.
No, good shout out. Shout out to Mike as well too. Wherever you are, Michael. But yeah, good episode, guys. Predictions. You guys go, man. It's gonna be a while till we play. So
Arsenal, Wednesday, and this is also the time in the league where teams go ahead games, and Prem games are being played while FA Cup games and Champions League games are being played. So it'll be very interesting soon, where like games in hand and all that other stuff. But yeah, Arsenal, Wolves on Wednesday. I expect absolutely nothing less than 3 points. Must win game. And then and that's actually and then the big one, Spurs Sunday, North London Derby. Absolutely nothing but 3 points. They're two teams that respectfully, I mean, they're 16th and this is the worst team in the league, and then the 4th worst team in the league. So I expect nothing but 3 points against these teams. And obviously both games will be tough. There's no easy games in the Prem, but Spurs would be tougher. Obviously, they're a rival, but we need to be 6-point collectors this week if we want to. I'm like I'm saying, man, we get to 60. We're going to be the only team on 60 points. That's another little factor. Then we sit on 63 points. So if we win the next one, it'll look nice. 63 points will look better than 59 points. Even if City were to get 6 points as well. So I don't know. I just want to get to 60, but that's what I got.
We see Burnley at home. This is a Burnley team that lost 3-2 this last week. So I know they'll be looking to bounce back against us, who seem to just continue to drop points at home. I know it's not going to happen, but I just want to see a clean sheet, man. I think we'll get the win. I think it'll be ugly, but come on, Chelsea. We got to be better at home, man. Protect the bridge.
Yeah, we play Everton away from home. I think we definitely got to get our lick back from the last time we played them. I don't know if you guys remember, but the last time we played Everton, we had two teammates from the other team fight each other, and that
Still
guy
up.
was and he is still sent off. But yeah, I believe we get 3 points here away from home. I think that this is going to be a difficult game for us, but I like our schedule for the rest of the season. I mean, I think the biggest games we have are against Newcastle, Villa, and Chelsea. And I mean, those are our rivals, and Liverpool as well too. Those are our biggest games of the season. But it starts here with Everton. I think we get 3 points, so we'll see. But yeah, good episode, guys. A lot of football coming. It's crazy. MLS is actually starting this weekend, and here we are. We find ourselves in the thick of it with the Premier League and just European soccer as well too. Champions League is about to start up. Oh damn, we got to do. We're doing Champions League locks of the week as well too. Starting this week. So we'll get our locks in. Extra picks for you guys. Let's see if our success in the domestic league carries over in Europe, but I know mine will. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, we appreciate your guys' continued support. Until next time, peace, guys.